Hi guys, so today we have our European Nightcrawler bins, and I wanted to show you how we sift our cocoons and our castings out of their bed. The cocoons take about 21 to 30 days to hatch, and so we want to make sure that every 21 days at least we're sifting the cocoons out so that they're not hatching in with the breeders. So those cocoons will have about 1 to 2 babies in each cocoon, and they will generally drop a cocoon every week, and so they do multiply pretty quick, and so we want to make sure that we keep our breeders separate and that we're growing our nursery. So I wanted to show you that process today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully you enjoy this video. All right, so real quickly I wanted to show you my setup before I actually started sifting. Right here I have my sifting trays. This is a 1/4 inch screen, and then I have an 1/8 inch screen. And those are the two sizes that I use. The heavies will remain up here as well as the worms. The castings and the cocoons will fall down into the 1/8 inch, and then the castings will go through the 1/8 inch, leaving the cocoons on top of the 1/8 inch. So you'll see that process here in just a second, but those are the two sizes that I use. Right here I have some playground sand. I use that for grit in the cardboard. As I mentioned before in some of my videos, the worms have gizzards just like chickens. And so in order for them to digest their food properly, they've got to be able to have some grit. And so I put that in there with their bedding. And then I also have some agricultural lime. You can get that at any farm store. They use that to balance the pH in their fields and their crops. We do the exact same thing for our bins. We want to make sure that our bins don't get too acidic as we add produce and green waste. And I really haven't had that problem with the cardboard. And so, but I still add that in there because it doesn't hurt them. Right here, I have a bin of my European Nightcrawlers. This is actually my original herd that I purchased. And so their main job is to breed and to lay cocoons so that I can put them in the nursery. So as you can see, in 3 weeks time, they have really got into this cardboard and have broke it down in tons of castings. And so, they will lay a cocoon a week, like I mentioned. And so we want to get the cocoons out every 3 weeks so that we don't have babies hatching in here. But as you can see, if I can find me a big old glob, you can see big old healthy European Nightcrawlers there. See if I can find some cocoons to show you. And that's what we're trying to sift out today. Not seeing a whole lot right there. With the warm weather, they have slowed down with reproducing, and that's normal. So I'm hoping as it starts to cool down here and we get closer to fall, I'll be able to have more cocoons produced in here. But you can see it's full of castings. They've broken that down, so we've also got to give them some new bedding so that they have plenty of food to eat in there. But they are healthy inside this bin. So anyway, so that's the bin. So then we're going to sift. Once we sift, that's what we'll sift, and we'll have the castings and the cocoons left inside of here. And the worms and the heavies that didn't break down, we'll throw into a bin full of new cardboard. So we'll use the existing heavies that are in here that didn't break down, some of this stuff here, and we'll just reuse that because it's already started to break down, started to have microbes for the worms to eat. And so we want to make sure that we reuse that and introduce that to the new bin. They'll probably go to eating that first because it's already in the process of breaking down. So, all right, that is the setup that I have, and I will show you the process here. Okay, so what we do here is I just grab a handful of the bedding and the worms. I'll put it in here, and then I'm just going to sift it back and forth. It doesn't take long. At this point, the castings and the cocoons fall through pretty easily and separates the heavies and the worms. So you can see in the top here, there's very few castings left, but there's all my breeders and then all of the heavies in the cardboard that didn't break down. So I'm gonna take these, and I have a new bed prepared for them, and those are gonna go right in there. And that'll be their new bedding. And we're gonna repeat that process over again. We're gonna grab a handful here, and I only do a handful. If you put too much in here, it'll get clogged up and it won't sift very well. So we'll go back and forth. I'll rotate that tray, go back and forth, and I will dump. Okay, so we'll just repeat that process over. So in this bin now, I've got nothing but castings and I have cocoons in here. And so we're gonna grab the 1/8 inch tray and we are going to put our castings in here. And then over here on this, as you can see already, this is nothing but castings. It has separated all the cocoons, all the heavies, and it is really fine. So we're gonna do that here. So we're gonna go back and forth, and you can see some of the worms, even in that sifting, they like to head down, and so even that short amount of sifting, they'll find that hole and they will come down, but they have a hard time getting through this 1/8 inch. I have seen them go through it, but they will hang out on this. So I will get all the cardboard here that didn't go through. I will get the worms that made it through the first round. And sometimes the siftings, if they're wet like they are now because they're fresh, they will get stuck inside this 1/8 inch. They'll kind of get plugged up. And so you can put them out on the ground and on a piece of plastic and let them dry out. And if you do that, it'll look like this, and it goes right through the 1/8 inch. That's all dried castings right there. And so it'll go right through the 1/8 inch, leaving the cocoons, and it's a little bit easier of a process. And so once we're done here, as you can see, this part takes a little bit longer because we're obviously going through a little bit smaller holes and trying to taper that down a little bit. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you, and I got my cameraman Brindley here helping me. We're gonna show you the cocoons, and hopefully you can see them. There's a cocoon right there. There's a cocoon, that one's getting close to hatch. There's a cocoon right there. And until you sift, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't have any cocoons. And until you sift, there's one there. There's one right there. That one's actually small enough it's trying to go through, but it really does. This 1/8 inch pretty much sifts every single one of the cocoons out. There's a cocoon there. And like I said, if you were to let this dry out, all these castings here would go down and it'd be a lot cleaner, but you get the idea. So we will take the cocoons and we will put them in the nursery, and I will show you that video here in just a second of the nursery. And so that way we're just not putting all the castings in there. We're trying to sift as much as possible. It's not perfect. Obviously, if you look right here, this had to have been from the last time we sifted. There is a wisp, a wormlet, a little baby worm, and that one must have hatched because the cocoon made it through the last sifting. So I'll just take that and I'll put it in my nursery, and you're gonna have that. It's not a perfect system, but it does a pretty good job. There's one of the breeders that got through. I'm gonna put that over here into the new bedding. And one thing I did wanna show you is once we have our breeders back in their new bedding, there's a lot of new cardboard in here. And so the main thing we wanna do every 2 weeks is we wanna just put some sand in here like we talked about. And there's no right amount. I know sometimes that can drive you crazy because you're like, how much do I put in? You're not gonna hurt them by putting too much sand in. And so I just kind of put a layer there on top. And like I said, do what you think is right. And you can go, as you go through it, you just kind of work that into the cardboard. You'll be able to tell if it feels gritty, and they'll be just fine. That's gonna be more than enough for them, and they will thrive. And then I do the same thing here. I do about a tablespoon of agricultural lime, and I just mix that right there on the top. And I will just kind of work that in as well, down into that cardboard. And that is a nice healthy bed for our worms, and they will eat that cardboard. And then, like I said, I always put the produce on the top here in the middle so that they'll come up and while they're eating, they don't have to go look for each other, and they'll breed on top there. So that is how we prepare our new beds. Okay, so here is my nursery, and this is where the cocoons and some of those castings that don't quite sift out. I don't pick out the cocoons. It would take way too long to do. But this is where I throw them, and I actually have a new nursery that I'm setting up, and so the cocoons that I'm currently sifting out, they'll be going in a new bin because this one is full of cocoons, and it's actually full of babies that I'm going to show you. So anyway, this is where we put them. I maintain a temperature in between 68 and 78, somewhere in between there. Right now it's a little bit warm, but that's not going to hurt them. But that is the most ideal part for hatching the cocoons. And so as you'll see here, this is just layers and layers of nutrient-rich bedding and cocoons that I've put in here. And as you lift this up, you will see that I have got babies all over the place. And this is simply from sifting and putting those cocoons in there. See, I've got a cocoon right there. Quite honestly, a lot of the cocoons in here have hatched. I can go down deep. This is about 2 feet deep. And you can see what we are doing is working. And so it's super exciting. It's fascinating. You can do this on a small scale and just have so much fun with it. And as you can see, this was all cardboard and some nutrient rich compost, and they are just breaking it down. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see all the black, all of this organic matter that they've broken down, tons of castings. And so these little babies are already going to work, and just a cool process. So I just wanted to share that with you because it is exciting, and it is interactive, and it's something to do. You can do that all year round, and I've been doing this for a long time now, and I get excited every time I come outside to check them, see the progress, see what I've got. And then when sifting, you kind of get an idea of where they're at with reproduction and how their environment is by the way that you're getting your cocoons. So anyway, that is the nursery, and that is the end product of sifting. All right, thank you for watching our video today. Hopefully that was educational for you on how we harvest our cocoons, how we sift them. As you can tell, the European Nightcrawlers are an amazing composter. You can see what they do with the cardboard, and they are just amazing worms. So if you want to start your own worm bin and start the worming journey, you can reach out to me at 435-650-3308 with any questions that you have. You can go to utahworms.com and order your worms there. Even if you don't order your worms from me, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. I love what I do. We love our family business, and we want everybody to be worm people. So we are just here to help. One thing you can do to help us out as we create these videos and as we try to build our small family business, if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell at the bottom, that will help you to know when we have new content for you. So thanks again for watching, and have a good day.